Happy Friday, everyone. I am happy to be here today to talk to you about planning. This past weekend, my husband and I went away for the weekend, and we've been doing this now. I think this is our fourth year, maybe our fifth year. They're starting to blur together. But typically when we do it, we're actually out in Colorado. So I live in Florida, but I work for Sonlight, and I have to go to headquarters a few times a year to work out there. And so in January, I go out every year, and my husband will meet me out there. And so we like to get a cabin up in the mountains. It's usually snowing. We don't get snow. And we always have to get a place with a fireplace and lots of firewood, and we build up the fire and we do all our planning by the fire. It's really cozy. So but this year I'm going, but my husband is not going. He can't go because of work. So we decided we would just do it here. It's fine. So we found a place about an hour away and decided we would do a beach front. I mean, it's cold, so we didn't go to the beach, but just, the falling snow and the waves. It's just very peaceful. So we did that. And what we did was we brought our calendars. I brought my prayer journal and a notebook. All my pens and markers. I love this kind of stuff. So I have all kinds of markers and things, sticky notes, because I love sticky notes. And also, this was in my picture and someone commented on it. These are book darts, and they're like a paper clip, but they're flat and they're pointy. So you can point them to the line that you want to, if there's a quote or something. So I do bring my book darts, and I have all my stuff, and he has all his stuff, and we get started. So the first thing we do is to sync our calendars. He has his work calendar. I have my work calendar. I have my personal calendar. He has his. And we go literally week by week. Okay, this week, do you have anything? I'm traveling. I have a conference. He has a trip, whatever. And so we fill in each other's stuff so that we can have this big picture of what the year is going to look like. So that's the very first thing we do, is to sync our calendars. Then we enter in any important dates. So once we see what the year looks like, then we look and see what kind of pockets of time we have. Oh, we have an open weekend here. We have an open week here. And we talk about the kinds of things that we want to do that year. Now, this is, we're empty nesters now, so this is not homeschool related for us, but it certainly can be for you. So if it's homeschool related, you may be talking over with your husband what are some goals that you have for the kids, whether it's physical goals. Maybe you have a 5-year-old who wants to learn to ride a bike without his training wheels, or you have an older child, an 8-year-old who wants to learn to ride a skateboard, whatever. Maybe you have a teenager who wants to run his first 5K. So whatever those kinds of things for your kids are, then you can also talk about character traits. What are some things? Oh, this child needs to work on sharing more or generosity more, and then strategize together. What are some things that you can do to work on those traits? So those kinds of things. But for us, we talk about travel, trips that we want to take, because again, we're in that age. School related dates, things like that. You can also talk about, like, if you have children who play sports or do music, when are the recitals, if they do scouts, when are the camping trips, if they if they play if they're doing art classes, what days are those? Fill those kinds of things in. And then any church events that you guys typically participate in, whether it's like the fall festival. Oh, we always go and participate in the trunk or treat. I want to make sure we get that on the calendar. Like, really think about every area that you are involved in your life, and think about the time commitments and dates that are important, and get those down. Then you can go back and see, is it too much? Do you need to give something up? Maybe you're involved in a women's Bible study, and it's just one more night out a week. Do Do you really need to be out that night? Maybe you can drop it for a season. You can always pick it back up when the kids are older or when they're out of the house or whatever. So evaluate the things that once you've written it down and you start seeing, oh boy, that's too much. Talk it over with your husband, pray about it, and then decide if there's anything you can remove from your calendar before you keep adding to it. Once you get all of that there, then what we did on our trip was we planned our vacation because we knew that it was going to take some finesse, finagling. So what we're doing this year, my husband is going to be out in Utah for a conference. So I'm going to fly out with him and work from the hotel room while he's in his conference. And then we're going to take the next week off. And so we're going to drive up and go visit 2 national parks. But then we had to talk about, okay, if we leave on this day, we're going to get here on this day. We need to find a hotel, and then we're going to go fishing the next day. And then what are we going to do the next day? And then the day after that, we're going to drive here. So we looked at hotels. We learned about the area. It just takes time. You need to research. So that was, we had this dedicated time where we can do those kinds of things. You can also look at and talk about trips you want to take with the kids, whether it's vacation type trips, educational field trip type trips, or even just trips to go see grandma and grandpa. If they live across the state, that you may want to say we want to go once a quarter, and so these are the dates that we have open. Let's pencil it in, because if we don't, it's not going to happen. So if you get it down in pencil, there's a greater chance. It could be that the soccer finale is that weekend and so you can't go, but if you don't write it down, you're not going to remember, and then you'll fill it with something like chores, and that's no fun. So trips, and then getaways in order to keep the marriage healthy. It's good to get away. Even when the kids are younger, I'm going to be honest. I was not that mom that was like, newborn baby, I'm leaving it and I'm going away with my husband. I didn't do that. But I did wait for my kids to be a little bit older. But then we did start doing that, and that was so important to our marriage. I'm at an age demographic now where a lot of our friends, it is sad to say, I'm finding out literally every week of another couple that's getting a divorce. So moms and dads, you've got to cultivate your marriage while your kids are still at home. I know it's hard, but you've got to make it a priority, because then they're gone and then you're done, So anyway, getaways at least once a year. If you can finagle 2, that's even better. Then once we did all of that stuff together, then we kind of broke apart, and he did his planning. He has some side hustles that he wanted to think through some stuff. And then I lead some other things. So I have a book club that I lead. So I took the time to send an email to our book club members to remind them. I had already sent them one to remind them to sign up for what month they wanted to lead. So I did that. If you lead a Bible study, or if you participate in a Bible study, you may want to jot down those dates. Ministry, any kind of ministries that you're involved in at church, those kinds of things. Anything that you may lead. If you lead a Girl Scout troop, I don't know, just whatever kind of thing you may be in charge of, then you have some time set aside to kind of focus on that and look at the year. And then after all of that, we set personal goals. And we like to set goals in 4 categories: physical, spiritual, mental, and family. So physical is kind of, self-explanatory. What are we doing for our health? We've done different things. We've run races. Last year we did 75 hard. We might do no sugar January, which is what I'm doing right now. So you just kind of sketch out if you're going to follow a certain kind of food plan, or what you're going to eliminate, or whatever. And then physically, what you're going to do to keep your body healthy. So whether you walk, go to the gym, do Pilates at home, or a yoga program, or whatever it is. So you can evaluate what you have been doing. Is it working for you? Do you like it? Do you want to keep doing it? Is it not working for you? You haven't been doing anything. You're feeling convicted. You need to start something. Think about a friend. Who can you rope into doing something with you? And then send them an invitation. Invite them, So physical, spiritual, I like to think about, I mean, that's where we have our small group ministry in our home. So we talk about that. But also just personal, like what kinds of books do I want to read? What am I doing for devotional? What kinds of groups am I in? Is it working? Do I want to continue? Do I want to start anything new? That kind of thing. Mental, for me, it's like last year I did Duolingo for about 6 months, and then I fell off the bandwagon, and I was evaluating, do I want to pick it back up? And I said, I do want to pick it back up. It's a good mental exercise. So I picked up Duolingo. Last year I set myself a goal to learn lettering. Yeah, I didn't pick it up once. So I'm like, okay, this year I'm going to do it. So I picked that one back up. Number of books I want to read. Those of you who are in the thick of homeschooling, you're reading a lot of books, so you probably don't have time or even the desire to read outside of your curriculum that you're doing, and that's understandable. You're reading 40 books a year, with the school stuff. That's a lot. And if you're participating in any kind of Bible study, those are books. Those count too. But if you do love reading as much as I do, you might carve out some time at night before you go to sleep and read for pleasure for yourself. So I set myself a goal of the number of books I want to read, and I also set them in categories, like how many nonfiction and how many fiction, because I can kind of go to the fiction and not do much nonfiction. And it is a mental, so I am trying to grow my mind, not just eat, candy for the brain. So books and anything else you want to learn. I have a friend who is learning to knit, and I just learned to crochet last year. So this year, my friend who's going to meet me in Colorado is going to teach me to crochet a hat. Last year it was a project that I wanted to do, and it was so fun. And then for family, again, if there's trips you want to take with the kids, or character traits, I kind of covered that already, but I make that a separate category because it's personal in the sense that I want it to happen, and I'm going to have to be the driver. Like, I'm going to have to push my kids to do these things. They may not do it on their own, but they're not for me personally. So but I do put that in my little notebook. So here's my 2022 goals. And 2023 is at the end of the book. Well, I can't find it, but anyway, so I did write those all down, and then I told myself I was going to put a reminder in my phone at the beginning of every month to go back and look at my goals, because last year I didn't touch my lettering book at all. Had I gone back to look at my goals, I would have seen, I would have been like, oh yeah, I want to do that. So if you don't go back and revisit, you're not going to accomplish. So I'm still learning and tweaking, but I just wanted to share with you what it is that we did, and we're excited for our new year. I hope that you are able to figure out some time where you can do it, even if it's just you and you don't do it with your husband. You just do it for yourself and share the plans that you have made with your husband and have him weigh in. And maybe just ask him to give you some dates if he travels or knows of things, work related, that you need to be aware of. So I encourage you, have a great year. If you have any questions, drop them in the comment box once this video posts, and I'm happy to answer anything. Have a great weekend.